Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Girl Boss Africa podcast, where we talk about things or issues that we feel like are not being spoken enough about. So, next to me, I'm sitting with Matadzi, Matadzi and Simi, who will be hosting this talk show with me. So, Matadzi and I are both teenagers in grade 10, which means oh, and then Simi is a bit older than us, and she's a psychology graduate, and she'll be asking us questions like and giving us her input about how she feels, no, what she thinks about depression. And Matati and I will be talking about our issues that we've had in the past concerning depression. So the topic of today is how peer pressure and family matters can lead to depression.
And we're also going to talk about the symptoms of depression and how you know if a teenager is depressed or just sad, and also the effects and causes of depression.
Okay, let's start with peer pressure. So, as I said, I'm in grade 10, and I can say for myself that I've experienced how it feels to be peer pressured. I mean, we've all gone, or some of us are still yet to get to that stage where you know or feel like you are being peer pressured. Well, teenagers of this generation are required to create a mark for themselves, and rise from the choices they make.
Those choices can be very confusing, chaotic, and stressful.
Yeah, and sometimes as teenagers, we don't understand the gravity of the consequences and choice that we make.
Yes, that's very interesting, Chietza.
Yeah.
So peer pressure, we've all gone through it. Don't think that you're weak or that something is wrong with you if you feel that peer pressure, because humans are social creatures by nature. Mm-hmm. So a lot of how we actually evolved is got to do with group dynamics.
Like how I got peer pressurized. When I was in the 8th grade, that's when I started school, I felt like I had to maintain or keep a certain image in order to fit in. And this affected me emotionally because that was not who I am. Like, you would get people at school who, like guys that expect you to make favors for them. And those favors that you can't say no to because of, you think that as a guy, you just have to have
just do it.
Just do it. If you're like, guys have this thing of we bros and we just have to do things for each other. And he was in a higher grade than mine, and he sent me to get an exam paper to a teacher that he knew I was close to, and that was before the exam started. So I went to the staff room, and while the teacher was not there, I went to where they put out those files and all those things, and I just started looking for the exam paper. And as I was searching, I saw my mark for the test we recently wrote, and underneath the paper was what I went into the staff room for, which is the exam paper. I grabbed that paper on my way out from the classroom, the staff room. That one teacher I did not see eye to eye with caught me, and he started interrogating me. Asked why did I have that paper, and because I've never done something like that before, I didn't know what to say, so I just dropped everything and ran past her.
So what do you do? How did you, is that what you thought of immediately when you saw the teacher?
I wasn't thinking of running away.
Like, why didn't you come up with a lie? Like, sir, I was looking for the certain paper, or the teacher sent me.
As I said, I wasn't really exposed to that before. Oh. I've never done something like that before, so that's why I just dropped everything and left. Yeah.
So do you feel like this resulted in you being depressed in a way?
It made me okay, by then I did not know whether I was depressed or not. It is by then I used the word depressed in a wrong way.
Okay.
I thought that I was depressed, but then I wasn't.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, there's this distinction between depression and sadness.
Yeah.
It's two different things.
It's two different
Yes.
things, and teenagers just use the word depression as if it's something light. They just say depression as if something that it happens usually on a daily basis, which is not that. There's being sad and there's being depressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think technically the difference is like, I think it's 3 weeks. 3 weeks of like,
If the sadness. That's
Yeah.
when you can be diagnosed that you are depressed.
Yeah.
I would say if I had to maybe say the difference, I think that being sad is just a state of emotion, whereby if you're depressed, it's like a sickness. It's inside you and it eats you like every day of your life until you actually get help.
Yeah. When I studied psychopathology, which is mental illness, the textbook we used, right? Now it was written by these psychologists in the UK. Okay, so like, okay, they're like, why are we in South Africa and we're using the UK? But okay, whatever. And then, but they were like, we need to stop talking about it. They were like, we need to stop talking about it like sickness, and we need to talk about it as sadness. I know this is not different, it's contradiction to what you guys are saying, because now there was like, so like literally instead of saying depression, like then the section was called sadness, and then anxiety. The section was
also
called
anxiety.
worry.
It's like-
You know, so yeah, so depression and anxiety are comorbid, like they normally occur together. So like, you know, sadness and worry, that's what our teacher, but our lecturer would call it. But now she was, again, I said they're from the UK, and they're like, she was also she was South Africa who moved to the UK. She was South African and moved to the UK. And then she came back, I think to retire, or I'm not quite sure. And then, yeah, but they were using this textbook. Anyways, long story short, so it's interesting about this thing of like, is it just sadness? But the
It's
argument
a
is
bit
that
of both, maybe.
it destigmatizes it, because the thing is, they say like depression, if you talk about it like as a sickness, then people are like, oh, I don't know what that is. But if you like, I'm sad basically, but like very, very sad, then
Oh yeah, no.
then maybe people will relate more. I don't know.
But have you ever been depressed before?
Yeah, I think so. I've been yeah.
But how did you guys do it? Like how were your parents towards you when you were in a moody state or something? Did they think you were being spoiled, or you moody, you don't want to talk to people? Because that's how it is now.
No, you know, I don't know how to describe it. You know, it's just a confusing time, you know. But yeah, they just knew this was not me. This is not normally how I am.
Did they try to help you though?
Yeah, I did.
So it wasn't your parents who made you feel depressed. It was someone else.
You see, the thing is that I live with my mother. So my mother is now very sweet and like very understanding, and so she's not strict.
Oh,
So I think that's where you're coming from, whereas you feel like fundamentally misunderstood by your parents, and that causes the sadness. So like, do you guys feel like in your experience with your friends and like your own parents, I mean, you don't have to say your own parents, but like from your understanding, do you think parents are too strict on?
like I feel like they don't understand what we're going through. And you know, like if I had to go to my mom or dad and say, Mom, there's something wrong or whatever, they'll be like, oh, it's because you're moody. Don't jump into conclusions, you're not depressed. Like they wouldn't hear me out. But if I had to go to a friend and say, this is what's happening in my life, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, they'd actually they'll give me advice to a point where I think that my friends are the best. They are always there for me. And if that friend had to say to me, do this particular thing, I would do this. I would do it because I feel like they're more supportive than my parents.
Yeah.
As I said, I was gonna talk about the symptoms of depression. These teenagers appear to be sad or listless at a lot of time. A lot of the time, you may not notice this all the time, but it persists for at least 2 weeks, as you said. You said 3 weeks. It persists for 2 to 3 weeks. The sadness lasts for 2 to 3 weeks. They pull away from doing things they used to enjoy, such as hanging out with their friends or playing sports. That's how you see that a teenager is depressed. Who wouldn't like to go out with their friends? So that teenager would stop doing that if they are depressed, and they would stop playing sports, which is something that they used to do like almost every day. They also act easily irritated or get angry or lose temper quickly. They also isolate themselves from family and friends, which might lead to increasingly worse self-esteem.
And they're also good. Like what I know about people who are depressed is that they're very good at hiding their emotions. Like they can laugh with you all day, and then next week you just find out that this person is not okay. And that day when they just decide that I've had enough, you'll be surprised. Like, what's wrong? Because I'm used to you as
a happy person.
Yes, and now you're sad, and I don't understand. You know?
That sadness has been building up in them, which they cannot talk to someone about it. And there are, as we said, there are teenagers who like to just play with the word depression, whereas they're just sad. So the teenagers tend to play with the word depression in such a way that when they are sad, they just randomly say they're depressed. That's why when teenagers who are really depressed, they are not being taken serious, which leads to more stress to the depressed individual.
Yeah.
When they are really depressed, but then they're trying to maybe tell someone about it, they don't believe them. That's when they feel like there's no hope of talking to someone about me being depressed.
Yeah.
And then it adds more to the depression they have. In the teenager's life. And there are no laboratory tests that can be done to prove that someone is depressed. However, if you said talk to someone before it leads to actual depression,
you can prove that someone is depressed. Like their brain, like serotonin, the serotonin in the brain, you can measure the levels of serotonin. You can prove that the brain is depressed. But I know what you're saying. It's not like it's not like an illness like I broke my leg or broke my arm. You know, so you can't really. The mind, we don't really know what it is. You know, that's something that we all trying to figure out. But yeah, Jetsa was talking to me earlier about someone who had committed suicide in her school, and I was so shocked. I had never heard of children committing suicide unless it was they were trans and they couldn't be trans. And that's from America. It's from American stories. Like in South Africa, I had never heard of a child committing suicide.
Yeah, and apparently she committed suicide because she did try to open up to someone, and they thought she was joking, as he said that people don't take the word seriously anymore because it's being used as being said. So she stayed with the stepmom, right? And the dad, it's two different. It was like the dad came with his own family, and then the mom came with her own family, and she's from the dad's side. Now the thing is, she didn't get along with the stepmom because the mom would put her kids first, whereas she's left in the backseat, and she didn't like that. And then she fell in love with this guy. Like, she really loved this guy until a day when the guy broke up with her. She didn't understand why, and she thought she was not good enough and everything like that. But I would say it's like after that, the same day after the breakup, she went to the garage and she hung herself. And people thought she did that because of a guy, which is not the reason. It's something it started
It has
from
been building up.
yes, from when she tried to talk to the dad, and the dad didn't understand because he loved the mom so much and all of that.
Yeah, she probably felt like there was no joy in the world, which is what you feel. Like the guy was probably like her only source of happiness, and so now that fell away. Then she was like, okay, so I'm going to feel miserable for my entire life. So like tapping out. But you were saying also that in this one school, you don't have to mention the school,
Yes.
but there's about 5 suicides in a year.
Yes.
That is insane. It is.
Yeah, you're right.
I can't.
I mean,
It's
in psychology, it's believed that children don't, I don't know about child psychology because that would be like postgraduate level. But it's generally believed that mental illness starts like at age like 22 vibes. Children, it's believed that children don't get mental illness. Like children, okay. But there's a rise in schizophrenic kids, like actually. There's autism, but it's not, that's a medical condition. So like children and mental illness, because normally, like the depression would be like caused by like if you're getting abused as a child, but like, yeah. So yes, there is the issue of child abuse, and this friend of yours was probably feeling emotionally abused by her stepmother.
Simi, let's say you had to put yourself in someone's shoes who's depressed, right? And you get to a point where you're like, oh, I want to end this. Like, I don't want to be depressed anymore. What would you suggest?
If it was a teenager.
If you were a teenager and you're depressed, but you actually get to a point where you're like, I don't want to be depressed anymore. I'm tired. I want to be happy. And this.
What would I suggest? I would suggest like a pet, first of all, like a dog or a cat. I would also suggest they reach out for help. Like their parents. I know you did parents. You see, you guys are teenagers, so parents are the enemy. But I would say speak to your parents. Like, although your parents can be strict and like black parents, they're like, we had it so much rougher. Like, what are you even complaining about?
Not grateful.
Yeah. But your parents, they do care about you, and so I would say speak to your parents or like your aunt, like your cool aunt, if you have a cool aunt that's like older.
Someone you look up to.
Yeah, someone you look up to. And then I would also say try, as a teenager, I would say like talking to your friends. Yeah, like your friends.
Since they're the one who understands you.
Yeah, but then now you have the problem with peer pressure. With your friends. So like you need to now have friends that are also properly supportive of you and not just like, because the thing is that when you're in school you think your friends are everything, because how much time do you spend at school?
Like 7 hours.
Your life is basically spent at school. So like your friends become your everything. So like I would say reach out to your friends.
But how can that friend help you? Because he or she is also a child, or they can't help you. Maybe they can say it's gonna be better. It's gonna one day this will end. But then you know that you need the help like right now, immediately.
Right now, like I'm at like a breaking point. Is that what you're saying? Or like I'm miserable.
Yes.
I don't want to be like this anymore. Definitely speak to your parents.
The parents are the reason why you depressed.
Because you feel like, why? Because you feel like,
Like
you're
they don't-
misunderstood. Like,
Yes, they don't give you enough attention. They don't understand you. Like those type of things that like they don't care about you. How do you?
how do you... Okay.
Because I can come to you
yeah.
and you're my friend, and I'm like, Simi, I'm depressed. My mom doesn't like me. My dad doesn't listen. My sister, my brother, my friend, this one did this to me. You can say to me, oh, it's okay. Everyone goes through that.
Yeah.
But then how is that gonna help me? Because now I'm at a point where I'm just like, I need the help right now.
Right now. Yeah, it's really tricky because, I mean, of course, there's going to a psychologist, like if there's a guidance counselor at the school. You know, the other thing is that what people are doing is cuddle therapy. Okay, so like they literally, it's so interesting. Like I just saw a video about it. So now, you know, physical touch is something that we, all animals and all, like, you know, like every life likes touch. Especially children, you know, children and moms. That's why, like in nature, like the elephant and the mom, they always like
So you're saying cuddling can help with that with
I'm
depression?
being serious. There's such a thing as called cuddle therapy, and there's actually practitioners of it. So like this, you go to the person's house. Now I just saw a video. They're doing it like in New York and stuff like that. So like I don't know if we would really do it in South Africa because it's like I'm not going to some stranger's house.
No.
You go to their house and then they like, it's like a combination of a massage, and they just like hold you literally, and the people it's like people love it. People absolutely love it. It releases the endorphins and the serotonin literally in your brain. Like literally a hug. Don't you feel good when you get a hug?
Yes, that is true.
Yeah, so like there's cuddle therapy. I mean, that's an alternative method. I don't know if children should really be on antidepressants. Like, okay, you guys are not children, like in between. Okay, but you know, in America they have like, you know, they take Prozac, Xanax. There's like big pharma. So now that's also a whole issue of whether we should be like medicating people to such an extent. You know,
And like depression, hey, it also has effects. Like it can impact school and work performance. It can influence your ability to make and keep friends because you'll have issues. Like let's say we're talking now and I'm at the corner there and I don't agree with anything you guys are saying because I have my own opinion. It can also make relationships with family members stressful, affect physical health, and it can also make you feel extremely irritable, causing yelling and arguing.
Just yell at everyone.
Have you ever experienced this?
Something like that. Yeah, I have. Like you just yell, even if they didn't do anything wrong. A small mistake, you just yell and just shout at them.
something's been going on.
But would you say you're yelling because of depression? Or you're just yelling because
You're problematic.
I don't know.
Okay, but it's also like diet. Okay, so like, yes, now exercise and diet. Now you guys are in school, they encourage you guys to exercise. You guys exercise already, like
Yeah.
extramurals.
yeah. So, but yeah, exercise releases endorphins and serotonin, and so does like healthy eating, like bananas and like avocado and like all of those nice fresh foods. So I would also suggest looking into eating healthier. But yeah, I mean, because when you're depressed, you normally tend to eat junk food. You know, you don't have energy to.
Some don't even have the appetite.
Yeah, some don't even have the
They don't
appetite.
sleep.
Yeah, you don't move. You don't leave your bed basically. And if you do, it's like to get 2-minute noodles. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it.
And to go to the bathroom. So yeah, you end up lying in bed and you have like those spiraling thoughts, like when you feel lonely and
To think about.
yeah, overthinking.
Mm. But if you guys had to like compare a teenager in a rural area and a teenager like who stays in a suburb,
Yeah.
would you say who's more likely to be depressed?
The one in the suburbs, because he or she's the one who's experiencing a lot of things happen. A lot of things happen in the suburbs. You get to experience some things like dangerous things happening in your life, but compared to the one in the rural areas, nothing much happens there.
Why do you say so?
You cannot be experiencing like some things like
Social media.
social media. You're right.
After
Yeah.
school, you go and play.
Exactly. They just go home immediately. So compared to the one in the suburbs, he has to do a lot of things.
Okay, wait. I think we need to differentiate between the suburbs, like the burbs, the township, like peri-urban, and then the rural.
The rural.
Because now, if you just, it just can't be just two.
I think that's why our parents don't understand why at our age we say we're depressed, because they grew up in rural areas, which, as you said, there's nothing happening there.
Like maybe they didn't experience it.
Or maybe they didn't know the word depression.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think there's a certain amount of freedom that we have. Like, I don't know if this is a controversial statement, but we have the freedom to be depressed, whereas they didn't. Like, if my mother, the way she grew up, like, she faced like, some child abuse, like, there's a lot of emotional abuse. Like, my mother, she was a bastard. Okay, so that means she was born out of wedlock. Okay, and so like she was not accepted by both parents. Like when she stayed with her dad, and the stepmom would be like abusive, and then when she stayed with her mom, the stepdad would be like that. So she grew up mainly with her grandmother, but there was a time when her grandmother passed on. Okay, anyways, so like then she had to live with my dad and his new wife, and like the new wife didn't even allow my mother to sit on furniture, so my mother had to sit on the floor and like be like everyone's servants, basically, like the other children,
Not part of the family.
Yeah, you are like, yeah,
You're just there.
you're there. You eat. In some cases, they wouldn't even dish up for her. She would have to eat the leftovers
When she washes the dishes.
Yes. So like that would obviously cause a stressful situation like that would obviously cause someone to be depressed. But like she had to like, education is I'm gonna get emotional. Education is my only way out of this. So she had to like study really, really hard. And my mom ended up getting her PhD. Woo! Yeah, so like, maybe we have the luxury to be depressed. Like maybe we can lie in bed the whole day and watch series. Okay, I don't know if you guys watch series, but like when like at university, the people that were depressed, and from what I've experienced, you watch series the whole day.
Like you
don't move from the bed, or you watch YouTube videos the whole day. Okay,
there are those days.
Yeah. So maybe we have the freedom to actually like not. Whereas like she couldn't lie. Like she couldn't lie in bed and be like, I don't want to talk to you because these people, if she did that, they would stop feeding her literally. So yeah.
And apparently it can also be caused by genetics.
Yes.
Like if other people in the family have had a depressive illness, then your teenager may also get the similar genes and be more likely to become depressed.
Yeah, it's true.
Or sometimes it's family problems, low self-esteem, or feeling alone,
Being lonely.
Yeah, they can also lead to depression.
It's one of those things where I think also there's also an element like our parents come in and we're like, this is a white thing. Like we didn't have to deal with this.
Oh, like
I don't know. Maybe it's also the way like society is now. Like family bonds, like maybe the families are more disconnected. Did you know that women are actually 3 times more likely to be depressed than men are? But there is a rise in male suicide, like men in the world globally.
I think that's because, the thing if they're saying men are strong, they don't cry.
Yeah.
That's like a motivation to them.
Yeah. So like, yeah, I know that women actually do. There is a correlation between oppression and mental illness. That's why, like Frantz Fanon, he wrote like Black Skin, White Masks. Anyways, and then he was like a psychiatrist, and he was like, these people, basically, he was like, these people are not suffering from mental illness, they're suffering from oppression. Like, yeah, okay, so like, just another example is, for example, like my one lecturer, psychology lecturer, was colored, and he was like you go to the mental institutions, and like in Cape Town or in and around like or just in and around South Africa, and there would be quite a large proportion of those people being colored as well, even though colored is not as big as, it's not a big population group. So like there is a thing, or especially like prisons as well, there is a correlation of like inequality, depression, mental illness, they're all linked.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. They actually say inequality causes depression, by the way.
Really?
Yeah. So if you live like in America, if you live in a country where there's rich people and then there's poor people, that inequality actually causes the depression because you see that person every day.
Yeah, and you like, why can't I
be?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why America has got the highest mental illness. South Africa, I think, is also one of the highest mental illness rates. Where as countries where the people are like equal. They're either all well off or they're either all not so well off. But they're in it together, you know. Okay, so that was an interesting discussion. Very interesting. We hope that we write some relatable stories for the girl bosses and the young guys out there. Don't listen. Your friends are not everything, even though you're in high school. But they're very important. But like, that's what I think from my perspective. Because you'll go to university and then you're gonna have new friends, and then after university you'll have new friends. So like, you need to pay attention to the people that stick through. I'm getting carried away. But like, yeah,
and
throughout the ups and downs, like.
Another thing, if let's say you want to open up about like how you feel, I would suggest that you do not go to another kid. Like, if you're a teenager, don't tell another teenager that you're depressed, because I don't think they can help you. Find someone who you look up to and open up to them. Then maybe they can help you. Maybe a therapist, maybe your aunt.
Someone that you trust.
Yeah, but not a teenager, because they also have their own problems.
It was lovely talking to you guys. Interesting. And if you ever feel sad, you can just call me.
Or get a pet.
Get a pet.
Yeah, so you can cuddle with the pet.
Cuddle with it.
But there is a suicide prevention line that you can call.